So there, folks, welcome back to Towns with Charon and Velerious.
Hello, everybody.
Unpaused, there you go. Oh, we're back, Velerious, we're back. I just want to address a comment from Towns 150. Some guy called Chevy Man just asked quickly, why are the barrels different to what he's got?
Would that be because we're playing on version 8, is it A, which we put in the descriptions?
Yeah, that would be right. We are playing version 8A. You are most likely playing version 11, 12?
Ah, no, all the way up to like 25 or something.
Wow, I don't think it's quite that high.
It's not that high.
It's around 12, I think. I think that was the last version.
We're playing pre-version 1.
Wow, it's not quite that bad.
Go.
But yeah, it's version 8.
It is quite bad.
So the barrels may have changed and be different, and that explains that.
You may only have one barrel for all your needs, all your barreling needs.
It does make me wonder what's different about the barrels.
Everything is different.
I was like,
barrels.
I wonder how nice these barrels are.
It's become Barrelsville.
We are currently trading
Barrelsman.
Barrelsman. It's Barrowman's evil twin.
Yes, it is. Well, we're doing lots of building this episode anyway.
We're doing roads, which they're still taking care of. They're trading a bit of stuff to the thing, clearing up the meat and building roads, which is fantastic. Craig Gummersall says, hashtag save the Highlander.
Oh, God, don't save the Highlander. He punches balls in the face. We have no balls because of him.
I'm afraid your hill demolition plans are going to have to be put on hold.
Oh, my God. Can we at least, like, trim the hill down so it's just his bloody island with, like, a step wheel?
I quite like that hill, though.
Oh, my God. It's so annoying. Townies walk over it.
They do walk over it. That is a thing.
Time.
That is...
So if you trimmed it down so it was nice and square, you could put something next to the road and they would have to take the road. And then we could laugh at them and be like, hello, Townies. What are you going to do now?
We could knock it down, shave the hill down to, like, that layer. Or even, like, get rid of it completely and just rebuild. Oh, no, because it has to be on a hill. It has to be, doesn't it, for a Highlander? It doesn't
have to be on a generically spawned hill. It just has to be quite high up on a dirt thing.
It's got to be over level 6, I think.
So if we just trim off the bit where they walk over it, so it's just a square with the Highlander's fucking house on top, it'd be fine.
Thing is, that won't stop them doing the bullshit we saw before, where they like walk round it for no reason.
Oh yeah, but obviously there'll be less ways to go because it'll be all.
I reckon that they're still gonna fucking walk up it, no matter what we do.
And then we can put stuff around the road. We can't even put stuff around the road now because it is next to the road.
We can trim it a bit. We'll give it a haircut.
Goddamn Highlanders, I swear to God. Whether Craig Gummers or the person to tell us get roast as well.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
It was either him or you. It was one of you two.
It was. I was definitely instrumental in the whole roast making process.
I thought steak was better, and you were all like, no, roast. Now look at us.
Mathematically, roast is better.
It's not.
It's just in reality. It seems to be much easier for them to cook and control steak than
It's because
roast.
Steak is just one ingredient, as we said before. Where, like, say that you're making hog roast, you got to go get 3 ingredients. So they're wearing off that extra bit of food they get by going and getting more ingredients to cook more hog roast.
Yeah.
It just makes them hungry again.
That did seem to be the case. Which is a shame. So, Craig Gomez's other comment, Blaise, which was on Towns 148, I think. It's been a while, but we purposely got ourselves slightly ahead so we could do some stuff, but...
A lot of things coming down.
Yeah, so he asked to talk about Rimworld.
Yes.
Talk about Rimworld, Velerious.
Rimworld, hopefully we got it right, and it's not porn. It's the indie colony management game that was funded on Kickstarter in November 2013. Okay. It asked for $20,000 as its goal in Canadian dollars.
Canadian dollars.
And it received 2,268. That must be wrong. It must be 268,132.
Okay.
Okay. Which is 1,340% funded.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
That's good
so
going.
he got that. He's on green light and he's being green lit, but he's not bringing it out yet. Now, when you backed to join the Kickstarter, it was 20 Canadian dollars in order to get into the first alpha, which would be essentially buying the game. And that was delivered on January 2014. It is now priced at $30, which, considering the fact that it is literally what looks like a Prison Tycoon ripoff, as much as I don't want to say it, it does look like one.
Placeholder graphics is the phrase that gets tossed around.
Right? It's a Prison Tycoon ripoff in my mind because of the fact that, first of all, it's an indie colony management game, not strategy or anything, management, like a prison management simulation. Not only that, you also have ways of making money, ways of getting prisoners, ways of looking after these prisoners, or chopping out their organs, which people seem to really put all over Steam. Like, literally, every comment is just, I had a prisoner, I chopped out his lungs and sold them on the black market. Best game ever, 10 out of 10!
Yeah.
So that seems to be one of the massive selling points. The guy, though, who has created it is actually quite interesting. He's called Tynan Sylvester, I believe that is.
Tynan Sylvester.
Yes. For 4 years, he was making Bioshock Infinite, various indie games, and he's been making a lot of mods.
If you hold that here, you can still speak into the mic. Because you have to turn it left and right, it's going to sound so weird.
And he's been making mods back to the Unreal Tournament era.
Yeah.
Right? So he's pretty well renowned in what he does, kind of thing.
The name sounds vaguely familiar.
Tynan Sylvester.
Yeah.
He was,
I'd probably, if he's been working on Bioshock, it might be some
Bioshock
there
specifically, it was Bioshock Infinite.
Yeah.
He put on his page. I don't think he had anything to do with the other Bioshocks. Don't know. Might have done. Didn't have time to look at the credits. But other than that, various indie games. I'm not 100% sure which these indie games are, but they're just marked as various on his page.
Yeah.
And mods back to the Unreal Tournament era. Once again, not kind of listed any mods back to the Unreal Tournament era. Just said, yeah, I worked on mods back to the Unreal Tournament era. That kind of stuff. So, sounds like a cool guy. And basically on Greenlight, he just said it will be available for these... available on the site for buying if you want to be into the alpha testing and everything, but it'll be coming out of Steam when it's not as buggy.
Okay.
So he's gone the Project Zomboid route instead of the route that we usually see games go, where they come out and they're massively buggy and they're trying to get shitloads of money for it.
Yeah.
Like going, oh my god, look, it's 2 rabbits fighting, but it's massively buggy and we want $60 for this. Overgrowth.
2 rabbits fighting. I remember that game. What game was that?
Overgrowth, I think it was called.
Overgrowth.
Something like that.
Overdrive.
Might be no drive. That sounds like a car game, to be honest.
It does. It sort of had that sound to it, didn't it? As though it was a car game, but it's not. It's about rabbits.
Rabbits fighting,
the
and then they introduced a new character, which was a wolf and everything. And the problem was, people seemed to really enjoy that game. But I could never kind of justify spending like I think it was roughly $30 to $60 dollars on it.
Yeah.
It depends where you bought it from, what deals it was on and such, and it went through all the deals and such.
What do you think about Rimworld from what you've seen so far?
I personally think it actually looks like a game I will play.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that I sit there and say that it is a Prison Tycoon ripoff, it is something that it's in the genre that I actually quite like.
Well, this is the thing. This is why I haven't spoken up much on it yet, Velerious, because there is a slight difference between you and me and the type of games we like. Like we both like, for instance, like old school JRPGs, like Suikoden and Shining Force and stuff like that. But then it sort of varies on some other issues, and one of the issues is sort of base building games
and real time strategy and turn based strategy.
Yeah,
you prefer turn based.
I prefer turn based.
Real time.
You like real time strategy.
Also, then it kind of split off with kind of like. I prefer management, looking after things, getting things working. You prefer the war aspects of things. So you prefer things like
not necessarily.
Civ. You prefer things like Civ, where it doesn't kind of have too much building in your own cities more than you're managing everything else. You've got multiple cities. You could go to war at any time. You could do loads of stuff. When I prefer like Tropico, owning one city that I have to look after. I have to get the imports and exports balanced. I have to get people happy so they'll vote me again. I'll rig the elections so I can kill that.
But the reason for this is. You sort of like these city building games, like Banished and stuff like that, and Stonehearth, and I'm less into them because I find them quite linear. I find there's usually one sort of good technique, and once you know what that technique is, you will just like win that game. And then that's it. What's the point? Whereas with Civ changes dynamically. It's a sandbox game. It depends on your opponents, who they are, and what difficulty you're playing on, and what sort of world you're playing on. And
same thing as I said, though. Civ, you control multiple cities, could go around the world destroying anything you want, play it different ways and such. Where Banished, one city. Tropico, one city. Towns, one city. Stonehearth, one city. Everything that I like is just one city, managing it, making it grow, making it you start from basically nothing and slowly building your way up. One of the games I highly loved for this was Guild 2. It was absolutely amazing. You started off.
Was that the way you got leprosy and died?
Yeah. You started off basically not owning anything per se. What you actually had was a certain amount of money and you had to make a business. And you would have just enough to make one business, and that would have to make a profit to keep the business going. Meanwhile, you have to manage your own life and get a wife and have kids, because otherwise your dynasty will just die out.
See, I quite like that. I own the Guild 2. I haven't actually played it because it's It's a bit buggy,
It's
and it's
terribly buggy.
And they've got other games to play, you know. But
it is kind of like, it's one of them games that was, I've never really found anything quite like it ever again. And the idea was that you could essentially build yourself up out of businesses to own your own town, to then manage all the imports and outports in your own town.
I mean, with the guild, that definitely had a bit more of a sandboxy element to it.
Yeah. It was really interesting.
But I find the other ones are very linear. Especially, like, I mean, one of the most recent ones I played was probably Space-Based DF9, which has been sort of abandoned now.
The thing was, when we went to go buy Space-Based DF9,
yeah,
I said it would probably be a bad idea and recommended that other space game.
Well, no, it definitely looked interesting. I liked the style of it and everything, but then I played it and it was just like, I figured out how to, you know, manipulate my way into victory very early on, and then there was nothing else to keep me interested.
But I recommend that other space game. Do you actually remember what it was called? Spacetopia or something? Where, like, the aliens they changed. So you would have, like, different alien groups and cults and such. But it was quite an old game.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah.
Startopia.
Yeah, Startopia, that was it.
The one that was from the PlayStation era?
I think so. But put it this way, I played that more than Space Base.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad,
here.
Considering the fact that I paid more for Space Base than I did for that. And
but people were sort of touting, you know, Space Base could be as good as Startopia and stuff, and it was like,
I know. Startopia, though, when you even read about it, it just looked fantastic. It's like little alien groups.
It's like these games, generally, these days especially, they don't seem to have that much content. It's like, with towns, it's like, your route to victory is wheat farm.
Yes.
It's that simple. If you don't build a wheat farm in the first hour playing the game, you're dead. Right?
Yep.
If you do build a good enough wheat farm, then that will sustain your town, as you can see, for hours and hours and hours. It's like the last time I got a hospital game that was a bit like Theme Hospital, but not quite as good.
Yeah.
And it was like, literally, like, I bought this on the cheap one Christmas, and I was like, oh, I'll spend Christmas Day playing this. Literally, after about 3 hours, I'd worked everything in that game out to the point where I went on sandbox mode, on the hardest difficulty, built my hospital, to the point where it could run itself. And then I just left it. And I came downstairs and chatted to you, had some food, messed around, watched a film, went back upstairs, I'd made like billions of dollars. I was like, wow, this game.
This is the problem. They need to look at how things can be balanced. Now, Banished, as much as you say, like, there's always one way of doing it, really does test that. Because it's like, during winter, you can't fish, because the lake freezes over. So the only real way to do it was hunting and gathering. Because obviously creatures would still be there in hunting, just less of them. And in gathering, you would find different types of herbs and vegetables during the winter season. But still, the more people you got, it just kind of screwed everything over. Because I got into a predicament where it was absolutely ridiculous. Basically, like, all of my people just started, like, having babies, and all the population boomed, and then it just kept going up, and all my food just ran out. Oh god, it was so stressful back when I played it.
But that's the thing, I mean, you know, once you figure out your little route through it, it's done, isn't it?
But even then, I don't think there is really a route through Banished. It depends on how good you are at managing a population, more than managing the resources. And that's not something that I do enjoy in these kind of survival games.
You don't like the micromanagement?
Well, yeah, I don't enjoy kind of having to look at my people and say, right, this guy is good at fishing, let's go make him fish. I prefer getting a town up to like 16,000 population, and people just getting their own goddamn jobs related to how good they are at doing that goddamn job.
Yeah.
It's like when I got to school and they all kind of had to go to school till 14, it was just like, oh god, this is going to destroy my workforce, basically. Because everyone has to be educated now. It's like, you don't have to be that educated to throw a fucking stick in a river and catch some fish.
See, sort of the only aspects of these base builder games that I do like is when you've got your big bad base at the end. Like, I love Derpsville because it's so fucking huge and awesome and amazing, and we've built it up, sort of thing. And it's the same like with Minecraft. It's like the best bit of Minecraft is like, you know, when you put that final block down and step back and go, fuck me, I've just built that. You know what I mean?
But even so, it's like
so I quite like them, but again, on you know.
The way we play these games is different, though, as well.
Yeah. A lot of the time, these games are limited to, like, just the two dimensions, really. It's like, this has layers, but, like, Banished doesn't... Can you build houses on top of houses in Banished?
No, because obviously it's in the olden days, so you just build houses. But anyway, as I was saying, we play games differently as well. So, like, the first time we started Towns, you all into getting all the wheat, getting everything sorted and all that, and I was into naming every single person. And hopelessly just kind of mumbling around with them. Because that's kind of how I play any kind of base builder. I start off with a group of people, name them all, and then when they die off, I get really sad. And then I'm like, I don't care for the rest of this town. Start a new game.
I mean, that's just one of the things. I'm all about efficiency. That's why I like the turn-based games, because I like to know I got everything I could possibly get done in that one turn. You know what I mean? I like to make the full use of it.
You are a prime minister / president, and I'm the kind of nice guy who's going, oh, think about the people, man.
But this is why I like Firaxis so much, because they make the sort of games that I want to play. Yeah. You've got your turn-based like combat game, like XCOM, but you've got your turn-based management game, like Civ. In fact, there's a lot of overlap between them as well.
The problem with me is I don't really have a good like game company to say would make good.
Well, even in RPGs, I prefer the turn-based combat. You meant like the combat for Suikoden, where it was like, you know, you've got your 6 dudes, they all get a turn, choose what they all do, they'll act in order of their initiative, and off you go, sort of thing. So, you know, there was that certain element to it of you need to know which are your fastest characters, because you choose their moves in order, and based on their position in the party, but they will act in order of their speed stat. So you find yourself memorising their speed stats, just so you know who's going to attack first. So you can go, right, well, I know this guy's going to do that, so you need to heal this dude, blah, 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 blah.
Speaking of ways to get through games as well, you know, like finding a way to get self-sustaining and such.
Yeah.
Another game that is guilty for that, Prison Architect.
See, again, I got Prison Architect, and it's like, I've played it for about half an hour and got bored.
Yeah. Well, they've updated it, obviously, a lot since we played it, but still, it's kind of like there will be a way to automate your jail to the point that you don't need to do anything anymore. You just save up a load of money, build your jail bigger, do the same automation.
The problem with the Prison Architect is I don't really see what I'm trying to achieve.
Get prisoners in there, make a profit out of them.
I stuck some prisoners in, that went well.
Did you make a profit out of them?
Yeah.
Massive profit. Because you're meant to retire.
Well, not massive profit.
We're meant to retire and get another prison. And when you do, you start with your money.
I understand how that works. It's like the heirloom system on Torchlight. You essentially, you know, sell the prison, get more money from it, and then build another one from scratch.
You're meant to build it bigger and bigger and bigger.
But what's the point?
Because eventually they'll have the upgrades with death rows and such, and all the other things they're bringing in.
But what's the point?
And reform people. You're meant to reform people, really. Cause
I don't get the appeal in it. I really don't.
Your atrocious for that. Just like people just left and just went and stabbed someone again.
Yeah.
They wanted to go back in your prison. They were like, sod it, just going back in Charon's prison. At least it all runs.
I built a nice, efficient prison, and then I was like, do I really want to sell this just so I can build the same thing twice the size with twice the people in?
Yes.
Just to sell it and build the same thing 4 times as big with 4 times the people in.
I suppose you meant to do it differently every single time.
But my way worked.
I know.
So
if you do it your way, you never kind of like feel anything towards, you know, that one guard who has to walk around the prison cells every single night on his own, called Jerry.
Because I even built mine like so it made sense so that all the places are accessible.
I did
the police, you know, the prisoners can't get to the outside bits.
I did have a guard that I kept switching between day and night patrol, right?
Yeah.
And his night patrol was in the cells. 200 celled inmates that he had to walk round every night. I just called him Jerry. Was like, oh, Jerry, back on night patrol.
My main problem with Prison Architects was the cafeterias.
Yeah, everyone just stole everything.
It wasn't that. It's just there was no real way to sort of. Again, it was the same. This was the same problem Space Base DF9 had, and the same thing Towns has. With you can't. It just didn't work. It's like I built a cafeteria that was more than spacious enough to fit all the prisoners in, but because they all immediately dogpile it, they all get stuck in the doorway, which then means it takes them ages to get in. Which means I have to extend the dinner hour to feed them all, otherwise they don't get fed.
The easiest way
Even then, some of them probably don't get fed because they take that long to squeeze through the fucking door.
Easiest
and then on their way out, they all steal spoons, so that's a waste of time then because you lose that. Whatever you've set for that hour after lunch gets lost because everyone has to be searched because they're all holding spoons.
Easiest way to do it is set guard posts outside the doors, put a guard on them, and then the minute that someone gets zapped or someone wants to go through the door, he'll just open it and do everything in that one position.
But they all get clogged up.
It's a bit annoying you have to do that.
So I tried, same as Space Base, building 2 cafeterias to see if that works, and of course it doesn't. And it's just like, just as I played it, I was like, I just don't want to do this with 5 times this amount of prisoners. It's fucking shit enough as it is.
Admittedly, I did save my save at one point and just let the guns loose on the cafeteria people. They just blasted those prisoners into nothing. It was amazing. Dogs ravaging their faces. It was fantastic. That's the real goal of Prison Architect. How many people can you get in there for the massacre? the huge amount of like gunned policemen that you've just gone, yeah, you can shoot anyone you want. Oh my god!
I mean, true, it's that there's a lot of stuff you could do with it if you're going to set challenges for yourself.
Or if you're going to make a YouTube
video.
Yeah,
for a YouTube series. But other than that...
I think the thing is, you have to... With, like, building and management games, you have to have that kind of way of mind that you're going to change things up a little. That you're not just going to try and find the way to exploit it, or if you do, exploit it, then restart, and try it again and see if there's a second way to exploit it. Or see if there's another way, and try to change things up. Try to have it so, like, first time you start, you make a square prison. Second time you go, you make a prison that is sort of circular. And the third time you make one that has
the differences you're making are so minor. The ultimate gameplay of the game remains the same.
But that's where the proper enjoyment is meant to come from.
So you're going through the same old motions.
If anything, I prefer Tropico 5's co-op version. As much as people hate that, and they hate Tropico 5, and Tropico 5 is a piece of crap, the actual online way of building things together is fantastic. Because I built a trade route into Jade City, and traded all of her shit away, and she didn't even know. It was like, oh, I've got all your shit. She was like, why do I have like $20,000 and nothing? I went, oh, bought all your shit. You don't need that shit anymore. It was brilliant.
I'm amazed you actually saying Tropico is shit, Velerious.
Tropico is shit. Back in Tropico 4, I bought every single DLC, and I will admit to the fact that I waited for a sale for every single DLC, bought them all, enjoyed the fuck out of the campaign, played through every single mission, played the sandbox repeatedly, got nearly like 300 hours clocked up on Tropico 4, and then Tropico 5 comes along, and they've just shafted it. Literally, they've lifted up the pants of Tropico 5 and shafted it in the ass.
Wow. Because
they've just... I mean, the first gripe with it as well is there's 4 different stages you seem to go through, as far as I can tell. You have, like, the very old Victorian stage, the modernish stage, the kind of, you know, more of a city stage, like, where you're going out into the world. And then finally you've got a stage where you are literally like a power, like the US and such.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, the first stage is just the annoying one. Because all you have to do is keep extending the amount of time you can look after your colony because the king wants to get you off there. Right? So he sent you to this colony to go look after it and build it up to get some exports back and such. And you have a certain amount of time to do this.
Okay.
And you have to basically keep asking for an extension on that time for everything that you do for this fucking king. So he'll go like, I want 10,000 lumber. Build lumber yards everywhere. Give him 10,000 lumber. Can I have another 12 months looking after my shitty colony that I now have lumber everywhere that I don't need? And it's like, that one stage just ruins the entire game for me. That and the fact that when it first came out, there was no save in multiplayer, which is a bad oversight.
That is pretty bad. This guy, I'm just going to sell him. Shall I sell him copper?
I would personally not sell him anything. The building is not going well.
He's not got a lot of money, so this won't take long. And the copper is in barrels.
They're not even hauling though.
They are. They've done quite a lot actually. They have done quite a lot.
That road.
You just didn't see it.
But yeah, in regards of Rimworld, I just basically think that, like you said, there will be a way to cheat the system. It'll become like Prison Architect.
Yeah.
And by judging by it now, it looks like it's pretty much very identical to Prison Architect. There is a lot of things you could bring from Prison Architect into there, and it would make it seem less of a new game, more of a Prison Architect.
I want to sort of wrap this up. So my final thoughts on the whole Rimworld thing is I don't think it's a game I'd be interested in, because city builders generally need to have something pretty interesting to hook me in. Some sort of feature
you can sell organs.
Well, you know, that's not enough.
Everyone on Steam loves it.
No. Now and again, I'll check the odd city builder out if it's got something that really sort of interests me. But that's about it. I mean, it's like
Stone Half.
Yes.
When that finally comes out, that'll interest you.
I don't think it will. I've dabbled, and I don't think it's going to interest me. I own it, but you know.
Have you seen the fighting yet?
No.
There's going to be titans, like literal titans that will just shit your fucking city up. Come randomly. They can come with orc armies, and orcs will come and invade you as well. Goblins will invade you. Thing is, when you first start, it starts as a town builder game, and then becomes a like real-time strategy afterwards, which is pretty cool.
I already don't think I'm gonna like Stone.
Basically, it's like towns with the siege system, only better than 30,000 mobs spawn on one squad and come kill you.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gonna be better than towns.
You say that next time.
Right, they're all selling stuff Velerious, so I'm going to pause Derpsville, and we will see everybody next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.